This is my third time recording this video because I haven't been able to keep it under 15 minutes. Hello, my name's Leonora, and today we're going to be doing the Hamilton book tag because my friend Etta was noticing that on Facebook I've only been posting about the best thing ever, A.K.A. Hamilton, and she also really likes Hamilton. She's there like, oh my god, Leo, you should do a video about Hamilton! And I'm there like, that would just be me screaming and squealing and jumping up and down and singing really, really badly for like 20 minutes on end. So then I saw Pullin' Bananas Books, which is probably my favorite YouTube channel ever, do a Hamilton book tag. And I was there like, do you know what? I don't even care that I've only ever posted 3 videos and I have no actual books with me. I'm going to do this book tag. If you don't know what Hamilton is, it is a rap musical about Alexander Hamilton and the rebellion in the United States and the founding of the United States, and it's the best thing ever, and you should go listen to the soundtrack right now, and then you can come back and we can all just scream about books and Hamilton and all that stuff together. So, book tag. The first thing is The Room Where It Happened, and that is Aaron Burr's song about how he wants to be in the room where it happens. You know, where everything is taking place and all the plot is happening. So what makes sense with that would be the book world that you want to live in. And I have so many of those. I have like an endless list. If I could fly into all of my books, I would just go crazy because I wouldn't know which one to pick. So I'd just become like a book traveler. I'm going to have to pick though, because of course there are the obvious Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, my 2 favorite book worlds ever, but I feel like those are overdone. Maybe not Lord of the Rings, but Harry Potter. So I'm going to mention Pride and Prejudice, because it's not really, you would think that it's a sort of book world that you really want to live in, because it isn't different, it isn't special, it's just turn of the 19th century England. But I love it so much. I have actually read Pride and Prejudice, and I know that if I went back in time and I lived back there, I'd probably hate it because of all the restrictions on what women can and can't do. But first of all, the scenery. Have you ever seen the 2005 Pride and Prejudice movie? Because that scenery enough should make you want to go back and live there. Second, if you were of the right social class, and since we're talking about the world of the book taking place in a certain social class, I'm just going to assume I'm in that social class and ignore all the other terrible stuff that was going on with the poor people, which is terrible of me, I know. And they just sat around and did nothing all day. And I'm really good at doing nothing all day. I could totally do nothing all day, so I think I'd really fit in well in that world. And thirdly, that's 3 fingers. Thirdly, they have all their dances and their courting and stuff. There are a bunch of really strict societal guidelines, which I think would be really helpful for me, because I'm really awkward. And I also really don't like physical contact, because I just overthink it. And when you're dancing with people, the most you need to do is hold their hand. That would be so nice for me, because it's just holding their hand. That's so simple. But I'd probably find other stuff to freak out about, because I'm literally Darcy, just without the money. The next song is The Schuyler Sisters. And that is this song where the Schuyler sisters are out and about on town. They're singing about guys and stuff. And the guys are singing about them, because that's how people were when they're single. And so we're supposed to talk about an underrated female character. And within the world of books, not like our real world, but in the world that the book is set in, I'm going to go with Éowyn from Lord of the Rings, because everybody just completely undervalues her and just doesn't see her as equal at all. And she goes out and she proves herself. And a lot of them still sort of pity her and don't really seem to realize that isn't what she wants. She doesn't want pity, she wants respect. And she never actually really, she gets that from one guy, but still, there's a big difference between having one person respect you and just generally commanding respect. And if you have only ever seen the Lord of the Rings movies, I really think that they sell Éowyn short, and that a movie written by a guy in the 40s did a better job of making a badass female character than a movie from 2002 or 3. So if you need one reason to read The Lord of the Rings, it should be for Éowyn, even though those books are really, really difficult to read. They're like reading a textbook, but I love them. If you like reading textbooks, maybe you will too. The next song is My Shot, a character who goes after what they want and doesn't let anyone stop them. For that, I'm going to go with Adelina Amaretto from The Young Elites by Marie Lu. If you haven't heard of Marie Lu, she's the one who wrote the Legend series, which was really popular. And her new series, The Young Elites, is about this character named Adelina Amaretto, and it's like a villain backstory, origin story. And the main character is really interesting, really dark, but you still sort of can't help rooting for her because you're inside her head and you get to see what she's going through, and you're torn between rooting for her and not rooting for her because she's a terrible person. There's no shying away from that. I love how Marie Lu has written her. She's just so unapologetically bad, and that's something you don't see a lot of female characters being. And she does have this laser-like focus for what she wants. She doesn't let anything stand in the way, which isn't really a good thing for the people in this story who aren't her. The next song is Stay Alive, a character that you wish was still alive. For this, if I was back home and I had actual books, but I don't here, I would just pick up a certain book called The Legion and just hold it up for you guys and cry. That is the first and only book that I've ever cried in, and if you've read A Legion, you know why. It's the third book in the Divergent series, and you should really read the Divergent series. It does not get better as it goes along, but the first book is really kick-ass, and the second book's pretty decent, and the third book's kind of a hot mess, but it's still a really good series, and it's worth it just for the awesomeness of the first book. The next song is Burn, the most devastating end to a relationship you have ever read. And for that, I'm going to have to go with My Ship from the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. And My Ship was a ship that was always sort of doomed from the beginning because it was the Darkling and Alina. And those two, when one of your characters is the villain and one is the protagonist, it's not going to end well. But I think that she did a really good job. I liked how she ended their relationship. I liked how she ended that series because I felt that she just managed to wrap it up really well. I hate Mal. I think those books would have been so much better if Mal had just died on like the first page. But I still really loved the Grisha trilogy, and it wrecked me emotionally. I did not cry at it because I'm dead inside, but Burn. That's my Burn book. Next is You'll Be Back, Sassiest Villain. And there aren't a lot of really sassy villains in books that I can think of right off the bat. So I'm just going to say, if I'm just talking about the sassiest villain in general, that's Loki from the MCU, because he gets all these really funny lines, and Tom Hiddleston just delivers them, and it's so perfect. And I don't have a crush on Loki. I want to be Loki, even though Loki always loses. But I think that I could win as Loki because I wouldn't be nearly so self-involved. And when he's there, like, I must wear this really obvious helmet and green stuff while I'm conquering the world so that people can just shoot at me, I'd be there like, no, I'm going to disguise myself as a civilian and laugh as the Avengers accidentally save me because that's smart. But he's still super sassy. Also for your Be Back, I'm going to mention the villain from this book, Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. I'm not going to tell you who the villain is because that spoils the first book. That was the reason I had to remake my first try at making this video. But it just fits so perfectly for the villain in this because he is a king who's got a very similar mindset to his subjects and how he's going to regain his subjects' love. And yes, it does involve killing their friends and family. Next, we have the Reynolds pamphlet, a book with a twist that you did not see coming. For that, I'm going to pick up not Glass Sword, but imagine that this is Red Queen, the first book in this series. I did not see that ending coming. I'm not going to say anything more about that. But another one that you probably haven't heard of, that you should have heard of because it's a really well-written book, and it's got this great platonic female friendship. And there are even sort of hints of it not being more, but at the end, it's just a great relationship between these two women. in World War II, and it's also really interesting to look at what women could do in World War II and how they could be badasses in their own right. And that's Codename Verity by Elizabeth Wayne. In the middle of the book, something happens and it makes you rethink the entire first half of the book. Nothing is as it seems. Then the next song is Non-Stop, which is my favorite Hamilton song out there, just because the whole thing about, why do you write like you're running out of time? Why do you write like you're running out of time? How do you write every second you're alive? Because I like to write, and that just makes it seem way more awesome than it feels. And it's the last book series that you binge read, and I binge read the first 3 books in the Mortal Instrument series within a span of 3 days last week. And I'm just going to count that as the Mortal Instruments as a series. I know that there are 3 more books. I'm going to read them when I get home, probably binge reading those too. But these first 3 books were originally just supposed to be 3 books, so I'm going to say that they can count as a series. Because I binge read them and they were so good, and I'm not going to tell you too much about my feelings because I have book reviews for all of them and you can go watch them if you want to know all of my emotions, and also how much I love Jace Wayland, because I love him so much and I hate him in the TV series. Next is Satisfied, a favorite book with multiple points of view, and I've not read a lot of books with multiple points of view. They're really hard to pull off, and first person is especially really hard to pull off, so I'm going to mention 2 books here. One is The Help by Catherine Stockett. That manages to pull off 3 first-person points of view. I think they're first-person. But I was really satisfied with this book for the song Satisfied. 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. That is the same person who wrote the Grisha trilogy, and it's set in the same universe as the Grisha trilogy. And if you're wondering, do I need to read the Grisha trilogy before I go out and I read 6 of Crows? No, you do not. They're not related at all. The plots of one do not affect the plots of another. And they're just little things they have in common. They're set in the same world, but they're completely different stories. And 6 of Crows is way better than the Grisha trilogy. So these 6 outcast criminals who have this awesome heist they need to pull off. And it's so much fun to read. It's so well written. And the ending leaves you wanting the next book, which comes out soon. It's a duology. And the cover just released for the next book, Crooked Kingdom. And it just got me where I live. I love that cover. Next is Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story. That is a book that will go down in history. And for that, I'm going to have to say Harry Potter. What other book that we know of is going to go down in history? I do not read a lot of book series that I think will go down in history because it's really hard to go down in history. But Harry Potter will be loved by generations of kids, until the sun runs out of gas and the moon is revealed to actually be a big balloon planted in the space by the CIA or the Illuminati or somebody. That is how long Harry Potter will be loved for. So that is the history being made right now. Especially since Cursed Child is coming out soon. So excited. So that's my Hamilton book tag. In case you can't tell, I love Hamilton. You should love Hamilton too. If you haven't checked out the soundtrack yet, what are you doing with your life? Go check it out. If you have not read these books and they sound like fun, go read them too. Also, check out Poland Banana's books, Hamilton Book Talk. I will put a link to it down in the description-y thing. And I will see you next time that I have something to make a video about, which may be back in Canada.